Hi there, thanks for joining us for today's video. Please make sure that you click subscribe to keep up to date with all of our content. This will include short how-to videos, webinars and demonstrations of all of our products. Check out the links in the description below to check out any content related to today's video, and we hope that you enjoy it. My name's Alice, I'm the Training and Education Manager here at Tobii Dynavox. And today we're going to be looking at creating print materials within Boardmaker 7. So I just wanted to start out just having a bit of a kind of recap of what Boardmaker 7 is and some of the things that we have available with particular focus on print resources. So the Boardmaker 7 editor is where we're going to be creating these resources. And this is available on Windows, Mac and Chromebook. And within this editor, we can create print and interactive activities. And we can do this in a number of different ways. We can create them from scratch, so just using a blank page and create our own activities. We also have over 400 templates available that we can use, and we're going to have a bit of a look at those as well today. And you could also create activities from all old Boardmaker resources. So Boardmaker 7 is actually backwards compatible, which means that if you've got resources that you created maybe in Boardmaker Online, or some even older versions, you can actually bring those into Boardmaker 7. So you might have some great resources that you've used throughout the years, and you want to bring those in and maybe edit them and update them. We can also create multi-page documents. So, you know, if we're creating a book or activities that have got several pages to them, we can all do all of that all in the same document. We've got a really great print to PDF feature, which allows us to easily print our activities. And just a reminder for those that maybe haven't already got Boardmaker 7, that there are a couple of options. We can either purchase through what's called Boardmaker Standard or through a subscription. And there'll be information about that on our website if you'd like to find out more about that. So let's think specifically about print resources. So we know that there's lots and lots of different types of resources that we might want to make, whether that's behavioural supports, communication boards, communication books, educational activities, worksheets, social stories, that kind of thing. And we can do it in a number of different ways. So we can create something from blank. We can use some already made templates. We can actually use something from the community. We've got a great online community where people can upload activities that they've created and share them. And we've also got some activities to go. And so I'm going to go through each of these today. And we're going to do lots of demonstrations, and I'm going to show you how to create each of those different types. Before we kind of dive in, I just wanted to do a bit of a run through of the different types of symbols that we've got available within Boardmaker 7. So we've got a range of different symbols aimed to suit lots of different needs, whether that's working with children, adults, people of all ages. So I just wanted to kind of give a bit of a recap of each of those different types of symbols, just to get us thinking about what would be the most suitable symbols for us to use with our learners. So the first type is this PCS Classic. So these are kind of the oldest symbols that Boardmaker started out with, really, over 30 years ago. And so these are probably the most recognisable sort of PCS symbols that most people know about. You'll sometimes hear them referred to as the eggheads for quite obvious reasons. But these symbols were originally designed to be able to quickly draw meaning from the symbols that are represented. So the idea is that they're kind of quite simple. You'll notice they're quite thick lines, so visually quite easy to look at. And they were originally designed for either children or people with learning disabilities. We've continued to develop those over the years, and they continue to be one of our main types of symbols that we use. So you'll see them all over the place. Some kind of older, some newer symbols, but we're continually developing these. The next type I want to talk about is our high contrast symbols. So these are specifically developed for people with a visual impairment. So the idea is that these are designed to go on a black background and using high contrast colours to help with that kind of visual representation for those that struggle. So I would highly recommend considering these if you work with anybody that could maybe benefit from this kind of symbol. So it's always worth kind of bearing in mind when we're looking at different types of symbols. The next type is these PCS thin lines. So these were kind of developed sort of on the back of people saying that maybe the PCS classic symbols are maybe a little bit more childlike. They wanted something that was a little bit more grown up, provided a bit more detail. So you'll notice that we've got a whole library of these thin line symbols that represent lots and lots of different kind of aspects of living, of you know, daily current events. Something that we've worked really hard on recently is trying to increase cultural diversity within our symbols. So you'll notice that our PCS thin line symbols, well, all of our symbols have got quite a lot of focus on diversity at the moment. So please do kind of check some of those out as you're searching through symbols. And the last type are these in context. So these were specifically designed for people that had a stroke or a brain injury. So typically for our older adults. And these are kind of specifically designed to represent a whole context. So whereas we might have, you know, a symbol that would be representing, I don't know, help, and we would have that depicted in lots of different types of contexts. So again, a really useful type of symbol that's worth considering when we're working with that client group as well. We actually do bi-weekly updates of our symbols, so we're continually updating the symbols. For a number of reasons, really, in that, you know, we want to make sure that we've got as wider range as possible. I think we've got over 50,000 at the moment, but that's continually growing. We try to make sure that we keep up to date with things like current events. So you'll notice that we've got quite a lot of symbols around the coronavirus, things like Brexit, Black Lives Matter, and lots of other kind of current events. Something that we're also trying to work quite hard on is providing kind of cultural representation for different places. So whether it's different countries or even more specifically different regions. So we're always encouraging people to submit any ideas that they've got for symbols, and I will put a link in this video and in our follow-up email as to how you can submit some of your PCS symbol and recommendations as well. One thing to note is that every 6 to 8 weeks, the symbol updates are UK specific. So we're really trying to make sure that we're including the UK as much as possible. So you'll notice that they're not just kind of general, but we do have some really UK specific symbols that we are doing every 6 to 8 weeks. So really regular updates. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the features that we've got within kind of the editor and how we can create some of these. So the editor within Boardmaker 7 provides lots of tools that enable us to create activities really quickly, and they're really flexible as well. So there's lots of kind of different things that we can do to adapt and change our symbols or our templates to suit our needs. We've got a huge bank of templates. I think I mentioned earlier, it's about just over 400 at the moment. So these are a really great place to get started. So the idea with these is that the kind of formatting behind them have been done. So whether it's a book, a communication board, a visual schedule, the layout is there. All we need to do is fill in our content. So it's a really nice, quick and easy way of making an activity. And I'll go through some of this. We'll have a look at different templates when I do my demonstration. We use what we call edit in place. So what this does is when we're creating our resources and we want to add a symbol, it provides a really quick and flexible way of searching for what we're looking for. So it allows us to search for symbols in different ways, and also use things like an integrated web search as well. Within the symbol finder, we've got some really great and improved features like this symbol search that allows us to do things like search for the word anywhere, whether it begins with that word, whether it ends with that word. So there's some really good flexibility on how you can search for that word. You can also do things like toggle between color symbols versus black and white symbols. So if you wanted to switch that depending on what you're doing. You can also search in other languages as well, which could be really useful in some situations. We will have the ability in the future to actually have dual language labels, which will be really exciting. We know that a lot of the learners that we work with have, several languages that they speak. So being able to have dual language labels will be, a really great addition. Another thing to highlight is this ability to order your kind of symbol type in order of preference. So we talked about the different types of symbols that we have, but it may be that, let's say that I'm about to make lots of resources for students at school that I'm working with that has a visual impairment. Now, every time I search for a symbol, I'm going to want to be able to find that high contrast symbol really quickly. So rather than searching through all the symbols to find that high contrast, I want it to be the first one that comes up when I hit enter to search. So what I can actually do within the user settings is I can change that order of symbols. So as you can see on here, I've changed it so that I've got high contrast at the beginning. So that's going to be the first symbol that comes up whenever I search for something. And then we've got thin line, classic, and so on. So that means that when I hit that enter, when I'm searching for, in this instance, sleep, those high contrast symbols are the first symbols that appear for me. So it makes it really, really easy for me to find the symbols that I'm looking for. Another great addition that we've got is this ability to browse through different categories. So let's say that I want to create a communication board for going swimming, and I just want to generate some ideas of different types of vocabulary that I can put in there. Rather than maybe having to think off the top of my head, what I can do is I can browse through these categories. So I've gone into actions, we've got sports and sport actions, and then what it'll do is it'll give me lots of different, and I think we've got here swimming actions. So I've got immediately lots of different ideas of vocabulary that I can put into that communication board. So a really great way of helping you to generate ideas for any activities that you want to create. Lastly, I want to talk about the integrated web search. So this can be used for more precise pictures, so for things like logos or maybe places, or maybe just to use it for something that we don't have a symbol for. So for searching for a symbol but it's not in there, we can actually just do an image search on the web, and it will bring those in directly. So again, just another way of being able to access that. So I've opened up my editor here, and the first thing that you'll see after I've logged in is it's going to show me my recent activities. So if I've maybe started something and I wanted to go back into it, I can easily access them here. Or if I go into my Boardmaker, this is going to show me all of my activities that I've created. So I can go in and find those. I can either search in folders or I can search up here as well. What we're going to do is we're actually going to go in and create some activities. So I'm going to click on this green new button here. And it's going to give me a couple of options. I can select a template, but we're actually going to start off with making something from a blank. So I'm going to click on here, and it's got a couple of options. I can either create a blank printed activity or blank interactive activity. Now I want to do printed, and I'm going to go for landscape, and I'm going to hit create down here at the bottom. So now I'm just going to close this to make this a little bit bigger. So now I've just got a nice blank page that I can just start off and making an activity. So I'm just going to make a little activity around Easter. So the first thing that I want to do is create a single button. So I'm going to come up to the top of my editor here to my toolbar, and I'm going to select the button tool here. come back to my blank page, and I'm just going to click and drag to create a button, and I can just do that until I've got the right size, and then I can let go. I actually want to make this into a grid. I actually want 9 buttons. So I'm going to use the spray tool up here at the bottom. So again, I'm going to select that. Now to use the spray tool, I'm going to come back to move my cursor to the kind of center of where I made my initial first button. I'm just going to click and then drag, and it's actually going to spray those buttons out, and I can keep going until I've got as many buttons as I wanted. So I just want the 9. And I can see now that all of these buttons here are highlighted. So there's a couple of things I can do. I can move them around. I can make them bigger if I wanted to. So I'm going to make this stretch out onto the page a little bit, move it around so it's a bit more central. So now what I want to do is I just want to fill this in. So I am going to select my first button, and all I need to do to start entering these is just type in the word that I'm looking for and then hit my return button. So now you can see that we've opened up this symbol search, and it's displaying down here the results of what I've put in. And remember, I can do things like change kind of the position of the word. So if I want it to be maybe anything that's in the sentence, or so at the beginning of a word, at the end of a word, I can select those. But simply, once I've found the symbol that I want, and I just select it, and I can either hit enter or press select here. That's entered that symbol, and then it's gone on to highlight the next button. So again, I'm just going to type in what I'm looking for and hit enter. Now this time I'm going to go to my web search up here. And I'm actually going to bring in a photo from the internet. So I'm going to select this one here, hit select, and now that's filled that in. And I can then continue. Another way that I can actually do this is by searching through categories. So there's a couple of ways. I'm going to show you just one way to begin with, and then later on I'll show you a different way. But I'm actually just going to hit enter on that blank button. And it's just going to open up my kind of blank symbol search. And here I can see lots of different categories that I can browse. So I'm looking for Easter categories, Easter words at the moment. So I'm going to come into events, religion, and religious celebrations. And then I can see that I've got lots and lots of different words there. And I could search for that, but I just want to browse at the moment. And actually, this one's really relevant. So I'm going to select Ash Wednesday and select in, and then I'm just going to continue to fill in some of my words here. So I'm just going to show you how quickly this can go. So I'm just, again, typing, hitting enter, selecting the symbol that I want, and then continuing this way. So nice and quick. I'm just finding some words that go along for my little Easter activity. Chocolate egg, that's the most important. Lent. There we go. Okay, so now I've filled in all of my my buttons. So a couple of other things that we can do with this is we have this properties panel over on the right hand side, and this is going to allow us to do a couple of things, mostly kind of formatting changes. So what I'm going to do now is I actually want to change some of the font on these buttons. So I'm actually going to highlight all of these buttons because I want to make the font a bit bigger, change the font so that we can see it a little bit better. So to highlight all of these buttons, I'm just going to simply click outside of the buttons and then drag. And you can see I've got this kind of blue dotted line. And if I drag that over all of my buttons and then let go, I've now highlighted all of those buttons. I'm going to come to my properties panel, and I'm just going to scroll down a little bit, and I've got a section here for font. So I can come in here and change the font. I'm actually going to change it to Comic Sans, because that's what we use in school, let's say. And then I actually want the font to be a bit bigger so that we can see those words. Perfect. So what you'll notice is as we change the font, it's going to automatically adjust the size of the symbol as well, so that we don't need to worry about things overlapping or going a little bit funny. We can do things like change the font color. I'm going to leave it like that for now. But we can also do things like change the background color. So I'm going to go for a yellow, a nice Easter yellow. Okay, and now I've got some nice yellow buttons. So really quickly, just showing you how to create a nice simple board. We created a button, we spread it into a grid, and then we filled them in. And then we did a little bit of formatting using the properties panel. So the next thing that I'm going to want to do is I want to save this activity and then I want to be able to print it off. So I'm going to come up to the very top left-hand corner and select on the three little lines and save as. Just give this a name. Save it. And then now I can go and select this create PDF button. And what this is going to do is save it as a PDF in order for me to be able to print it off. So I can then go ahead and save it into here. And then I've now got a nice PDF that I can go ahead and print off. So that's creating something from a blank. What I'm going to do now is we're going to go and have a look at a few different templates. And as we go through those, I'll hopefully show you some other kind of useful tools in the editor as well. So once I've finished with this activity, I'm going to click on the return to dashboard button, which is up here at the very top of my editor. You can see the activity that I created is here. If I actually hover over that, there's a couple of things that I can do. I can just select edit if I want to go back in and make some changes, or I can click on play if I just want to open it up and have a look. And I can do that on any of my activities. But let's go ahead and create something from a template. So we're going to start off with going to that new button again. And this time we've got this kind of template picker. So the first thing to do on the left-hand side is to select the type of template that I want to create. Now we're focusing on printable activities, so I'm just going to click on the printable there. And you'll notice that we've got loads of different categories of different types of templates that we can use. And I'm going to show you 4 different ones today that hopefully give you a good variety of the different ones that you can use. But I do encourage you to have a really good look at the different, all of the different categories and to see, you know, the different types that you can use and how they might be useful for the people that you're working with. So the first example that I'm going to have a look at is I want to go into behaviour supports. And you can see here that we've got a number of different behaviour supports available. I'm actually going to select this self-monitoring one. So I'm going to select that and then click on create. And then now you can see it's opened up this template for me. So I've got the kind of bones of my activity. All I need to do is just go in and add a bit of content and personalize it a little bit. So the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to select here on Wednesday because I actually use a different symbol for Wednesday. So I'm just going to select that symbol, hit enter to open up the symbol search. And I'm just going to find the symbol that I use for Wednesday so that I can personalize that. And now we've got the symbol that we use in our classroom, let's say. So this is a self-monitoring activity. So I'm going to come ahead and fill this in. So I'm going to adjust my goal here. Let's do this. And our goal is going to be to be, patient. And then we're going to start filling in times when I'm going to need to be patient and when I'm going to practice being patient. So I'm just going to go through a couple of examples of these. So let's go for this first one. So at 8 o'clock, I need to be, patient at breakfast. So just like I did with the blank activity, I'm just going to type in the word that I'm looking for and hit enter. And I'm going to select the symbol that most relates to my breakfast. So this one works well for me. And then I'm going to go on to my next one. and let's say this one's going to be at the bus stop. And again, I'm just going to type and hit enter. I'm going to find a bus that's more relevant for me. And I might need to change the times on here as well. So let's say I actually get the bus at 8:45. And we've actually got clock faces for every 5 minutes throughout the day. So we can go ahead and find a clock face that matches that as well. One thing that you'll notice here is that in this format, we've actually got the symbol on the left-hand side, and then we've got the label on the right-hand side. That's just the way that this activity is set up. But if we wanted to change that, we can do that quite easily. So I'm just going to come up here and I'm actually going to select all of these. And I want to change, sorry, no, actually I'll do it. Oops, I need to do that. I'm going to select the one that I want to change. And then I'm going to come over to my properties panel. And if I just scroll down here. Oops. Under here where it says content, there's this little drop down menu, and this allows me to choose how I want that symbol and label to look. So I can either have label at the top with the symbol below, symbol at the top with the label below, symbol only, left or right, or word only. And so I can just come in and change that here. Same again, so select the symbol, come down to under where it says content, and let's say this time I want word and then symbol. So I can just go in and change the placement, and that applies to any template that I use, or if I'm creating my own activity there as well. So I would then continue to create that, and again, as before, I can save that onto my activity so that I can go back and use that. So that's an example of using a behavioural support. Let's go back. Let's save that. And let's have a look at another activity. So this time I'm going to go into new. I'm going to go to printable again. So we want to look at those printable templates. And this time I'm going to scroll down to sequencing. And we're going to have a look at this template here. So sequencing 3 items. I'm going to hit create. So again, it's going to open that up. Now this time we're going to check, because as we mentioned before, we now have the ability to create multi-page documents. So I just want to check and see how many pages are in this activity. And I can do that by selecting this little pages tab up here. So it's kind of the top left. And if I click on there, it's going to open this pages panel. And I can see that I've actually got several pages in this activity. I've got 2 at the moment. So the first one is going to be where I'm actually going to place symbols. And then the second one is where I can actually put in the symbols that I want to be placed onto that template. So imagine we're going to be cutting these out, laminating them, and then putting them in order. So I can leave the first page blank because we just need to print that off as it is, because that's where we're going to be kind of sticking or placing symbols on to put them in order. And then here, I'm going to come in and I'm going to create my sequence. So let's say we're going to start off with spawn. So again, I'm just typing, hitting enter, selecting the symbol that I want. Tadpole, same again, and last one, frog. So here we've got the life cycle of a frog. So we've created that, and we obviously print those off, cut them out, mix them up, give them to our student and see if we can sequence those in the right order. Now, let's say that I actually want to do several different life cycles. What I might want to do is actually create multiple pages of different options. So I'm going to show you how to do that nice and quickly. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take this page that I've just made of the life cycle of the frog. And in the pages panel, just above where that page is, there are 3 little dots. And if I select there, I can actually duplicate that page. And so now if I scroll down, I've got a second copy of that frog page. But what I actually want to do is do the life cycle of a butterfly now instead. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to highlight these buttons, just like I did before, click and drag. and then I'm going to right click on them, and I'm actually just going to select clear content. So what that's going to do is that's going to keep all the format in terms of the buttons and the instructions, but it's actually going to get rid of the content of those buttons. And so now I can come in and do my life cycle of the butterfly. So we're going to go caterpillar, cocoon. Again, I'm just selecting those symbols as I go along. And then butterfly, let's go for this one. There we go. And so now I've really quickly used this template, filled in a sequence, duplicated that page. I'll show you that again. You're going to click on the 3 little dots up here, select duplicate. Oops. And then what I wanted to do was to clear those contents so I could fill it in with something else. So I just clicked and dragged over those 3 buttons, right clicked and selected clear content. And then now I've got a nice blank page and to create another cycle with. So that's an example of a sequencing activity. Let's go back and have a look at another example. So the next one I'm going to have a look at is something that's actually new to Boardmaker, into the Boardmaker 7 editor. And I really like these activities. We're going to have a look at some visual scenes. So again, I'm going to go to new, printable, and then I'm going to scroll down to where we've got visual scenes. And you can see here, we've actually got lots of pre-populated visual scenes that you can actually just go ahead and print off. And so these are kind of lots of different scenes where we need to find different objects. But if I scroll down to the bottom, I've got a nice empty one here. So I'm going to actually create an empty one for myself. So I'm going to select find the object template and hit create. And just close this pages panel so that's a bit bigger for you. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to select a picture that I'm going to have as my scene, and then I'm going to put in some objects that we're going to want to find. But I'm going to do this slightly differently. I'm going to make it as like a colouring in activity. So we're going to be looking at finding healthy foods in the kitchen. So what we're going to do this time is that we need to, the first thing we need to do is place our picture as our visual scene, as our main picture within this activity. So what we're going to do is slightly different to what we've done before, is I'm going to come over to my panel on the right hand side, and instead of properties, I'm actually going to select symbols. And here you're going to get access to those categories that we looked at earlier. And if I scroll down through my categories, you'll see that there's an option for visual scenes. And I can come through and search through lots and lots of different scenes that we've got. And I actually want to select this cooking area. So I'm going to click on that cooking area and drag it over. And it's now going to place that visual scene onto my activity. So I've now got a nice kitchen. And I've got some nice blank boxes here where I can start filling in some of the options. So the first thing that I want to do here with the text is I'm actually going to change the title of this to healthy foods. And then I'm going to change the instruction because I want this to be colour in the foods that are healthy. Okay, so now what I need to do is start populating my foods within here. So again, I'm going to use this symbol search up here, and I'm actually going to use my categories again. So I'm just going to come back to my categories, and we've got a nice food and drink section here. And I want to go down to, we're going to be looking at snacks. And we're going to try and decide on which snacks are healthy versus not healthy. Now, because we're going to do this as a colouring in activity, I actually want to, instead of having these symbols in colour, I want them in black and white. So I'm going to use this little filter that's next to my symbol search. And here I can change the symbol colour. So I'm going to select the little drop down menu and click on black and white. click on apply, and now all of my symbols are going to appear in black and white. So I can start scrolling through, and then when I find something I want to put in, so I've got apple slices, I'm literally just going to click and drag over to wherever it is that I want to put it. Let's go on here. And it's going to say, it's going to ask me here whether I want to just add it to that box or whether I want to replace it. I'm actually going to click on replace. So now I've just got that symbol available. And of course, I can make it bigger if I want to, make it a little bit more visible. I can move it around. I'm going to put it on these chopping board here. And then I'm going to keep scrolling. Let's see, we've got baked goods. I'm going to put you in here. Again, I'm going to replace. And again, I can move around. I'm going to put it up on here. Now I've got crisps. Let's put you in there in place. And all I'm doing is finding different examples of snacks and clicking and dragging and creating that visual scene there. And of course, I could put the different names of the items in here if I wanted, you know, to give them those clues and the words so they can match to the pictures as well. And so I can even further the activity that way. So a really lovely activity that you can actually do lots and lots with. I think these visual scenes are a really, really good, good activity. And, you know, it could be find the objects that begin with, and it could be, I don't know, the letter C, or it could even be, you know, find the big items versus the small items. It could be anything really, but there's some really, you know, really lots of room for kind of creativity with this sort of activity. Okay, so the last example that I want to give you is we're going to have a look this time at a book. So again, I'm going to click on New and go to Printable. And this time I'm going to go to Books and Presentations, and you can see we've got lots and lots of different layouts, excuse me, of books that we can use. I'm going to select this one, so it's a book with text above a picture. Again, I'm going to hit the Create button, and now it's opened up this template for me. And if I open up my Pages panel, I can see that I've got several pages there in which I can fill out. So again, I'm just going to start out, as I did before, with selecting and then typing. So the name of my book's going to be Out and About. And then I'm going to search for my symbols. So I'm just going to put community in there. I'm going to search for this symbol. I quite like that one. Then I'm going to select my next page and then fill that in. So what's this one going to be? I live in Birmingham. Now I'm going to type Birmingham, and you can see that I've got no results for that. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use the integrated web search here, and I'm going to find a nice picture of Birmingham. Let's select this one that I can use there for my picture. Now, the next one, let's see. I'm going to talk about somewhere else that I like to go to. So I love the Cupcake. So I've got a nice cupcake store near me, and I like going there. So I'm going to type in cupcake store and search for that. Now, you can see here that I've got no symbol kind of specific for that cupcake store. There's a couple of things I can do here. I could maybe just put cupcake in there, or just a general kind of picture for store. But instead, this time what I'm going to do is going to cancel out of there. Is on my right hand side, I'm going to come over to symbols again, and I'm going to search here for store. And there's no cupcake store here, but if I scroll down to the bottom, I've actually got an empty kind of symbol for a store or a shop. And I'm going to bring that in. And I am actually going to customize this and make my own symbol for cupcake shop. So I've got my blank shop there, and then now I'm going to search for cupcakes. And I've got a couple of options here. So I'm going to go ahead and put this chocolate cupcake in. I want to add it to the symbol. I don't want to replace it. Oh, this has gotten a bit funny, so I'm just going to make this bigger again. There we go. Oops. Move this one into here. And I'm going to bring this cupcake in. Add that in there. And now I actually want to make one of my favourite cupcakes is a strawberry one with sprinkles on it, but I don't have a symbol for that. So I'm actually going to create a symbol for that. And I'm going to use this symbol as my kind of template for it. So I'm going to click on this symbol here and select copy. And now paste. So now I've got 2 of these symbols. And I'm going to right click again on my duplicate symbol, and I'm going to click on edit in symbol editor. And now this is going to open up my symbol editor where I can do lots of things to change the symbol. So the first thing that I want to do is change this kind of frosting to pink. So I'm going to click on this fill button here. I'm going to come in and find a colour. Let's have a look. Let's go for like a pinky. This kind of pink. Let's have a look. Click OK. Select on there. Now I've got that pink frosting. Now I normally have these little sprinkles on mine, so I'm going to come in and I'm going to select shape and select circle. I'm just going to make some little. Select my colour. Sprinkles are normally blue, so let's put these on. And I'm going to come on and just add some sprinkles to my cupcake. Put there. And I could do things like change the colour of the wrapper as well. So maybe the wrapper is in blue with yellow stripes, so I can change it that way. And then once I'm ready, I can click save, and I've now saved that. So a really nice way of being able to kind of edit and change some of those symbols as well. So I hope you found that really useful, looking at some different examples of templates. We looked at 4, but of course there's lots and lots of different ones that you can go ahead and look at. So I do encourage you to try and explore those templates as much as possible. Just a couple of other things that I want to go through before we finish. So the next bit was, and we talked about earlier about using the Boardmaker community. So I'm going to actually show you what that looks like. This in, page over. There we go. Log in. Okay, so as we said, the Boardmaker community basically allows people to upload activities that they've created to be shared. So one of the things that I might do before creating an activity is seeing if somebody has already maybe created one that I can either just use or maybe make slight changes to. So once I come onto my my Boardmaker webpage, if I click on activities, and then select community activities, you'll see that there are a whole load of different activities that we can select from. And it'll show you some trending activities, some recent ones, and then a couple of different kind of categories that you can look through. Or we can actually just use this search here to allow us to look for something. So let's say I want to create an aided language display. So I'm just going to search for aided language display, and see what comes up. And I can see here that there are a whole bunch of, we've actually got 123 different ones that people have created and uploaded. And I'm just going to search through, and I'm actually going to have a look at this shopping one. So if I just select on there, it's going to give me kind of a bigger picture so that I can have a look and I can say, right, actually, this is brilliant. This is what I've been looking for. So what I want to do here is I want to be able to use this activity, and I might want to make some edits to it. So what I need to do is at the top here, we've got some blue icons. There's a little plus button. And if I click on there, it's going to add this to my activities. And if I go back to the My Boardmaker section, where I've got all of the activities that I've created, you'll notice that that activity that I just searched for has now been added onto my activities. And so now there's a couple of different things that I can do with it. I could just print it off if I want to use it straight away, hit the print button. Or if I hit the little edit button, it's going to actually allow me to go ahead and open that in the editor. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Open up my editor. No, should close that activity first. And it's just going to take a couple of seconds to download. And then now I've got this aided language display that somebody else made and that I've now been able to go in. And so I can do a couple of different things to it. So I might just want to change some of the symbols, for example. So let's say I want to change the symbol for I. I'm just going to select and hit enter. She says. Is that not working? Let's do it here. Search for I. And let's say I want to use this one. I can, like I did before, click and drag, replace. And now I've edited some of the symbols here. Now that one, the format is slightly different. We've got symbol and then word, whereas the others are word and then symbol. So again, I'm going to select on that symbol on my properties panel, and I'm going to come down to content. I'm going to change that to match the others. So we've got this way around. And I can make some of those changes, and then I can save that and use that activity. So another way of creating activities is looking at what's already out there and what people have already used, and using some of the great ideas that are out there. So rather than reinventing the wheel, there might be somebody that's created an activity that's just what you're looking for, really. The last thing that I want to show you, and we're going to go back to the dashboard for this, is I want to very quickly show you my Boardmaker activities to go. Now we do have a dedicated session that's going to look at this in a lot more detail, and this will be coming up on our website over the next week or so. So please do look out for this if you want to find out more. But to find Boardmaker activities to go, I'm going to select the My Boardmaker button, and then I'm going to select My Curriculum, and then I'm going to click on the Add Curriculum button, and there's a couple of options here. We've got these activities to go. We've also got these really lovely ready-made Core First communication books, and these come in 2 different sizes. And these are editable communication books that you can go ahead and access. I'm just going to go back to activities to go. And here you're going to see 10 different units, all looking at different aspects of kind of everyday living and kind of curriculum-based topics. And within each theme, we've actually got 4 different units. And each unit is differentiated to 3 different levels. So looking at kind of ability levels. And if I select in there, so I'm going to just look at level A, you'll notice that I've got a whole load of different activities available. So I've got things like a hidden picture, a vocabulary activity, a bingo game. And I can actually, if I click on the Add to My Curriculum button here and select Add, and if I go back to My Boardmaker and My Curriculum, you'll now see that I added that curriculum there to my tab so that I can access that easily. So Boardmaker activities to go is ready-made activities that we can go and just find, print and use. But the beauty of having access to the Boardmaker 7 editor is that we can actually go in and edit some of these as well. So if I wanted to come in and maybe have a look at, let's see, this activity schedule, or let's find the bingo. I'm going to open that in edit mode. And maybe I want to come in and change some of these symbols or change some of the vocabulary that we're going to be working on. And I can do that nice and easily, just as I have before. Select the button, and maybe I want to use a different symbol for eat, let's say. And I can come in and edit those activities to suit our needs. So those are the many different ways that we can create printed activities. So we've looked at creating something from scratch, creating something from a template, finding something from the community, adding it to our activities and making some changes that way, or using some of the Boardmaker activities to go. So I hope you found that useful. We are going to post in the description of this video some links to some how-to videos that will give you some really short how-tos on some of the tools and tips that I've showed you today. So things like adding a symbol, editing a symbol. So you'll be able to find that on our YouTube channel. So please do feel free to look at some of those. But that's everything for today, and I hope you found that useful.